Alright, good evening, gang. Now I'm going to show everyone how to get the database running up and running locally on your computer, so we can use our program against it. Okay, so first things first, you're going to need two things. You need to download and install Docker, and make sure you have Docker running on your machine. And I would say you need to download Kitematic. Now, Kitematic lets you see what containers are currently running on your um, on your machine. And containers are essentially just packaged Linux VMs. All right. So once you have those two things, you are going to run our Docker command. So I don't have it currently in any package. Once you have Docker installed, I have a image saved that you can see right here. It's our Percona latest, and this is the command you're going to run. I'm going to copy paste it. This will pretty much get the MySQL image, and I'm setting the constraints on the database. So I'm naming the database, I'm setting the root, and I'm setting the database actually there. And then for additional users, if you're not the root, to like read and do other things and run SQL queries against it, you'll have all this other stuff. So once you do that, you would hit that, but it's already in use apparently. Let me double check. So sometimes you have to close it and reopen it to see if the container is on there. So it is. So I'm just going to go and delete the container. And then, so that's essentially going to wipe out my database right here. Anyways, so we're just going to go ahead and disconnect. And we're going to see that nothing's there. I can't connect to it because that's my local whatever. Alright, so now I'm going to run my command. So I have Docker running. You run this command that'll download our image and run the container, and then you should be able to see, once I restart my Kitematic, boom, you can see we have my Docker container running, and you can see inside the VM where I'm actually creating the entries and all the certs for my database. So you can also do Docker PS, and you can also see that my container is running. So now I've set the port 3306, all that other fun jazz. You don't need to worry about anything. You just need to download Kitematic, Docker, run that command, boom, you have your database up and running. But we don't have any schema in it. This is where the program I created comes into play. So I'll also upload this for you guys to use. Essentially what you're going to do is, remember that root command I put in there? I set the password called secret PW. So, oops. So here, I set the MySQL root password, secret password, blah, blah. That'll enable root login to do all your baseline stuff, and that will create your schema. So this sets Flyway. This creates a Flyway instance. You set your data source, which is a DDBC connection to the local host, and the package and what I named it in my Docker container. So this is essentially right here is connecting to my container. So I'm connecting to my container, and then I'm setting database migrations and essentially just applying these straight to the database. Now I'm going to have another one that is going to have the inserts. So there'll be a version 1, and then there'll be a version 2, and then like version 3 or 4 will be the foreign key constraints. But this will always be the last, because you want to insert the data and then add the constraints on top of it, or else inserting can be a pain if you don't have all the correct info. But it is good though for validation, but sometimes I just like to insert stuff that shouldn't work. Anywho, so once that's done, you can now see that I have my database running, and it's called my TV package, but there's no tables. So we have it created through Docker. Oh, god dang it, I keep hitting wrong things. So we have it created through Docker, but no schema. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and run the program that I created that will connect and generate the schema. So it'll go through all those migrations, create the schema according to how I create it with a schema versioning. So now we go back and look, and we're just going to hit refresh. And now you can see all of our tables, package, service shows, users, and a schema versioning. So anytime something happens to the schema that changes, you can see what's happens, who installed it, and it also gives us a checksum for rollbacks. So this gives us our data integrity, and if we want to see what the schema looks like according to the constraints, I now have the diagram in place. The user standalone doesn't need to be connected or cascaded to anything. Schema versioning is its own thing, and it's just going to be by itself. That's going to be essentially controlled by the program, so there'll be no manual inserts allowed into the database unless it's through the actual schema controller, which I'm making essentially Flatway. It's not currently locked, so you can sign in as root or just a regular user and create tables and stuff. But yeah, that's it. So now we have our database up and running, localhost 3306, and now essentially from here you can just go ahead and set that connection in our My TV Package C# program. Voila, all done. If you have any questions, let me know.